Okay, I think I'm live. um, I'm either live or my internet is slow. I'm not really sure. Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Julie. I am the owner and founder of Lady Faulty. You are either watching this on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel. So thank you for watching. I would appreciate a hello, a watched, a comment that you said watched on the replay, um, where you're from, anything like that would be great. Helps me just decide, what videos are being watched and who's watching them and things like that. So it's just helpful for me to know who's watching. Um, Today we're going to be talking about Clairscent. It's also known as Claire. Um, I think it's Claire Alliance is how they say it. I've always called it Clairscent. I've always known it as Clairscent. And when I was, looking for some memes and some things like that, I couldn't really find anything. And then realized that most people are calling it online Claire Alliance, Clairalience. But I've always called it or known it as Clairscent, which is just the Claire and then scent, Scent. So that's how I will probably refer to it, just because that's kind of how I've always known it. Um, so, and we've talked about a couple of the other Claires. Obviously, the first two we talked about was the clear seeing and clear hearing. Those are the most, I don't know if I want to say popular, but those are probably the most well known, the most common known ones. And I think a lot of people don't realize that there are actually a total of 8 clairs and not just the two. Um, so I wanted to do these little series on the clairs, just kind of explaining what each one of them is, what you might be expecting, um, and things like that. When we talked about the clear seeing and the clear hearing, we talked about those could be kind of in your inner ear or your outer ear, so to speak, your physical ear or your etherical ear. Um, Same with the clear sight. It could be an actual, you could see it outside with your actual eye, or it could be something you see with your third eye. Um, with clear scent, nowhere could I find it referred to as similar to that. Um, it's always just referred to as, so it's clear smelling, which scent is clear smelling, is just a smell that no one else seems to smell, that has no known reason. So you can't find the reason. It doesn't say anything about like your physical nose or your etherical nose. Um, so it's a little bit different in that way. I would be interested to hear if anybody has ever heard it put that way or not, because in the books that I've read and articles I've read and memes I've read and everything, it's not put that way, which, like I said, the other two clairs that we talked about are kind of put that way, that you can have basically um, your actual eyes can see them, or your actual ears can hear them, or your ears, it could be in your head, or your eyes seeing, it could be a vision in your mind. So like your mind's eye. Um, but nowhere could I find it kind of similar put for the scent. So I thought that was kind of interesting that that wasn't put that way, but it's basically worded that you can smell something that no one else around you can smell, and that there is no known cause for the smell. Um, I have this happen to me quite often. So I'm somewhat familiar with this. I greatly use my intuition when this happens. So I recommend, if you are experiencing this, that you try to tap into your intuition as well. It doesn't always work. I've had ones that are hard for me to figure out, but let me give you a little bit more information and then I'll go into some examples for you. So basically, like I said, it's smells or scents that are not real. And I didn't really like that terminology because they are real. There's just, I prefer no known cause instead of real, because that makes it sound like what we're smelling is fake or made up. So just kind of think of it as no known reason. If you're smelling lavender and you've got a lavender candle going, well, then that's obviously a reason for you to smell lavender, right? And if you're in a very public place with lots of people around, you're probably not even going to really notice this because there may be several different smells and not always pleasant ones around you. So it's harder to pick up on it at that time. For me, it's usually when I'm home. It has been at work a couple of times, but we don't have a highly populated workspace. There's only a few of us in my office, and our desks are fairly far apart. But yeah, every once in a while, I'll smell something, and I have to go ask, "Are you eating this? Did you just spray something?" And sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they say no. So that's why I always get up and check when I'm smelling something. But yeah, so I don't really like the term "not real." No known cause is better description for me, because when I smell something, now there's certain smells, and again, I'm kind of bouncing around here, but there's certain smells when I smell them, I know exactly what it is or who it is. And other times I pick up on smells and I'm like, okay, I get up and I literally go around the house trying to figure out if there's something causing that smell. But pretty much if you're in your own home and you don't light a candle and you haven't brought anything new into the house, there should really be, you haven't sprayed cleaner or room freshener or anything like that, and you smell something, it's probably somebody coming to visit you. Um, the next thing I wrote down is it's not happening on this plane. Again, when you look into these things and you Google them or buy books or whatever, with anything of pretty much anything that I talk about on here, you are going to find people who totally disagree with what I say. You're going to find people who agree with what I say, and you're going to find people who will somewhat agree with what I say. My videos are from information that I have read, that I have gathered, classes that I have taken, and just kind of sharing with you what I have learned. And as always, if something I say doesn't resonate with you, that's perfectly fine. Um, you know, I could talk for an hour and maybe only 10 minutes of what I'm going to say is going to make sense to you or seem right to you. And that's okay. Because I have taken many classes where I will sit and watch the class, and sometimes they're 2 hours long, and I'm sitting here thinking, why am I watching this? Because I'm not getting anything out of this. But sometimes in that 2 hour video, there will be one sentence that I'm like, that makes sense, or I didn't know that, or, so for me, sometimes sitting through 2 hours of stuff that doesn't really seem, not that it's not interesting, it's like, okay, I'm not really learning anything new here. They're talking about stuff I pretty much already know. Sometimes I like to watch them as refresher things as well. So anyway, sidetrack again is that what I was going with is this is my experience, my knowledge, and I'm not by any means saying that it's right. I'm just telling you this is what I understand it or how I know it to be true. Okay? So when I say, when it says not happening on this plane, um, I'm not sure I like the word plane either. It's because people will talk about planes or people will talk about other dimensions and things of that sort, and that's really not quite my belief. My belief is that it's another little um, ripple in the veil, so to speak. Um, we've talked about at Samhain and at Beltane how the veil is thinner, and people who have little things might be um, magnified during those times. So if you occasionally might see through the veil or you occasionally might hear through the veil during Samhain and Beltane, you're more likely that will happen. Um, so I kind of think of it as the same way, is that when you smell something, it's a little, I don't know if I want to say ripple in the veil, um, but it's someone's way of letting you know that they're there with you. So if you can't hear them and you can't see them, um, sometimes you can smell them. And I often have that happen to me quite a bit, actually. Not on a daily basis, because I don't think that I have um, all these people that are visiting me all the time. And I don't think I have like a particular ancestor who's here all the time. My gram is with me most of the time, most often. I won't say most of the time. She's with me most often, more than anyone else, I would think. But she's not here all the time. She's not with me all the time. She doesn't follow me everywhere. um, but yeah, so it's not like I'm bombarded with smells and scents and things like that. And I often have times I can sense her and I don't smell anything. So you kind of have to put all your little gifts together and figure out. I put up a little meme that I made. It wasn't very fancy. Um, it's basically said it's not in your head. Um, Raise your vibration and your focus, and understand what your gifts are, because that's a big thing, and that's basically why I'm doing these videos, is for people to kind of say, like, I didn't really know that Clairscent was a thing. I just thought I smelled random smells, you know, um, and some of the other things that we'll talk about as we go forward. Because, like I said, the clear hearing and the clear seeing are things that people pretty much know about. They've heard about them. Um, you know, um, they're the ones that TV makes out as, the gypsy readers and the mediums and um, fortune tellers and all that kind of stuff. Um, but there's really a lot of other ways that you can have gifts that you can pick up on. And like I said, I have a little bit. Every once in a while, I'll see something, glimpses. Every once in a while, I'll hear something. It's not often. It hardly ever happens. Um, the knowing one we talked about, the sensing, what we talked about last week, the smell, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the intuition ones and stuff. Um, so, but they're really, in my mind, the way I think of them, they're all using your intuition. Some of them are just easier than others, and sometimes they're just hard to explain. And if you have Clairscent, you may experience different than I do. Um, so if I'm explaining something and you go, well, that's not really how it happens for me, that doesn't mean you don't have it. Um, it could be different for every person, or there might be 300 people that experience, or I should say 3,000, I don't know, 3,000 people that experience it all the same way, and then like 100 people that experience it in a different way. It doesn't make one more, doesn't make one better or than the other, or one right and one wrong. Everybody is different, and their clairs are going to come through differently for you. Let's see here. So, yep, so just checking my notes. I said that other people don't smell. That's usually a big clue that you're picking up on something. But it's weird. I will tell you, a couple of times I've smelled something, and I honestly expected my husband to say no, he didn't smell it, and he said yeah, he does. And I'm like, you're smelling that? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, where's it coming from? And I'm like, all right, how do we have this conversation? That you're smelling my dead Nana. But yeah, so but to me, as far as my husband goes, um, he is in this house where I am using all these herbs, I am using all of these oils, I am smudging, I am doing have all these crystals and stuff. It would only really make sense that it would have some sort of effect on him as well. So just keep that in mind. If you've got a house full of crystals and tools and herbs and oils and things, that your significant other or your children may start to experience, parents, whoever you live with, may start to pick up on some of their clair gifts as well. So let's see here. So I wrote down some examples, because I really have quite a few personal examples that I can share. And if anybody watching this has had any of this happen to them, I would love for you to put it in the comments. Tell me about it. Tell me who you think it might be. Yeah, because I just love talking about this stuff and hearing about other people's experiences as well. And that's how we all learn, right? Is sharing with each other. So I will tell you the big one, like I said, is my grandma's with me. And as far as ancestors go, she is the one that is with me most often out of all of my other ancestors. They pop in here and there, but my gram is with me more than any of the other ones. But like I said, she's not here with me all the time, you know. Excuse me. Sometimes I can just sense that she's here, and that goes back to the video that we had last week of just knowing, just sensing. And so sometimes I just know she's here. A quick example on that, and I think I talked about it in that video, was there was one night I was in bed laying down, and I don't know why. I can't explain it. I just said out loud, I was like, it's okay, Graham, you can sit down. I just knew, I just could sense that she was standing there, and she just was kind of watching me lay there and sleep. But I wasn't sleeping. But I don't know why. I just knew she was there, and I told her, it's okay, Graham, you can sit down. It's okay if you want to just stay and hang out for a while. But I've also had some, and I don't mean this ghost ancestor, because I don't say ancestor because he's not really my ancestor, but there's someone who visits me quite often who's not related to me. I know someone he's related to, and he likes to play tricks, and he likes to try to get my attention. And there was one night he kept turning the computer on. That's what he likes to do. Like if you wiggle the mouse a little bit, the computer wakes up. It will be just me. It'll be late at night. I'm sitting on the couch over there, and the computer will come on, and it'll go back off. And a few minutes later, it'll come on, and it'll go back off. And this will happen quite often on certain nights. Other nights, it doesn't ever come on. Um, but on certain nights, it will come on repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly. So this was happening one night, and I told him, I said, I'm busy right now. And he kept playing with the computer and whatnot. And anyway, so finally got up and went to bed, and I could just sense that he was like right over me, and when I was laying down, like his face was like close to my face, and he wasn't trying to hurt me. I wasn't scared. I was just annoyed. I was like, I don't really want to talk to you tonight. um, and I just told him, I said, go away. I said, go see your brother, and he left. But I just could sense that he was right there and he was trying to get my attention for whatever reason. Um, and shame on me because I should have paid attention because he probably was trying to tell me something important if he was trying that hard to get my attention. But I just wasn't in the mood, I guess, that night. But anyway, back to my gram and smells. So when my gram is near, oftentimes I smell like it's roses, but it's not like just the flower. It's kind of more like rose water, like a rose perfume. Um, she always had one of those old perfume bottles that had the spritzer thingy on it. That always had, I don't know what exactly it was because I was a little kid, but it always smelled like roses. So I don't know if she had a perfume or if she had rose water or what she had in there, because it might have been rose water that she spritzed on herself or something, but um, it always smelled like roses. And so I often smell that, and I know that she's visiting, and that it's her. Some of the other smells that I get, just some examples, is fresh cut wood. If I smell fresh cut wood, I know that's my grandfather, which I called him Papa. And he had a wood shop in his garage, and a lot of furniture that's in this house was made by him. And but whenever you would be near him, there would just be that smell of wood, that, and not like campfire or burned wood. It's that fresh cut wood, like you would smell in a mill yard, or you would, if you went into his shop, and there's wood shavings and wood dust and everything all over the place, it would smell very much like that. And that's when I know he's visiting. Um, some of the other things that I smell is I often get a little whiff of cigarettes, um, like the cigarette smoke. Um, and I associate that with, and again, using my intuition, I associate that with my husband's dad. He was a smoker, and so I think he pops in every once in a while. Um, and that's usually when Eric's with me. Um, so I don't typically smell that one by myself. I'm trying to think back. I don't think I've ever smelled it when I was by myself. I think I've always smelled it when Eric was with me. So that would make sense that his dad would be checking in with him. Um, I often smell vanilla, and that would be my Nana, so my Gram's mom. Um, like I said, not nearly as much as my Gram. I think Nana just does occasional pop-ins, a couple times a year. I'm just gonna pop in and check on you, make sure you're good. um, and she wore, and again, I don't know the name of it, but it was some perfume from Estee Lauder that was vanilla. And so when I can pick up a very strong vanilla smell, that's my Nana. And that's the one, like a lot of times I'll be sitting on the couch when these smells come. And again, it's because, it's not just because, oh, that's the only time they visit me or anything like that. It's because there's no other outside things interfering. Like my Gram may pop in with me at the grocery store, but there's so many other smells going on that oftentimes we won't pick up on it, or even if we do, there's other people in there, so it's really kind of hard to say, was that my grandma, or was that the lady that just passed me, that I'm smelling the rose smell. So it's really hard to kind of focus that on where it's coming from. But when I'm home alone, or home, my husband and I, or whatever, and we're sitting on the couch, like I said, there's no, I don't usually have scentsy things going. I don't usually have a lot of stuff going. Once in a while, I'll have a candle going at nighttime. But I don't spray stuff in the air. I don't, have scented candles and things like that. Um, so a lot of times that's when I can clearly smell it and know that there's no other source for this smell. Um, so that's why, it usually happens when we're sitting in the living room watching TV, or when I'm in bed, I'll smell it and stuff. But I really pick up on it because, like I said, there's no other um, outside interference of things it may be. And like I said, at work, sometimes I'll smell things and I will get up. And there was one day I just smelled chocolate. It was like, I couldn't even explain to you. It's like somebody just put a mound of chocolate on my desk. I could smell chocolate like crazy. And I was like, I was going around now, are you eating chocolate? You have something that's chocolate? And they're all like, no. I'm like, okay. I don't know what it was. I don't know who it was. I don't know. I never figured that one out. I'm not sure. Um, but I love chocolate, so I don't know if it was somebody that knows I love chocolate that was giving me that scent. I don't really know where that one came from, but so some of them are harder to figure out than others. Like I said, when I smelled the fresh wood smell, I knew instantly that that was my grandfather, that was my papa. I just knew, I didn't even have to think about it. I just knew that was him. Other ones I kind of have to think about and figure out, and sometimes I just have no clue. Um, so the vanilla was my Nana. I had an experience a while back. I smelled, it was very similar to the cigarettes, but it wasn't the same. It was a little different, and I don't mean to sound offensive or anything to anybody, but it kind of smelled like a dirty ashtray. Have you ever, or for example, my son's coat. My son smokes like crazy, and he's got one of those like canvasy coats, and it just absorbs all the smell. So when he gets in my car, that's very strong smell of just cigarette smell. It's not like you just catch a whiff of some cigarette smoke. It's like cigarette smell that's like been around for a while. And I was like, I don't know who this is. And I got my pendulum out and eventually figured out who it was and what they wanted and why they were coming to me. And, but it took a while. I had to keep asking my pendulum like quite a few questions to finally figure it out. So that's another way you can do that is with, if your pendulum, and kind of figure out who's visiting you or why they're visiting you and things like that. I use my pendulum a lot for stuff like that. Um, so yeah, basically the smells that just come out of nowhere. You can't explain it. You don't know where it comes from, and it typically isn't a smell that's going to be around for a long time. Like it's going to last a few seconds, sometimes around 10 maybe seconds. It doesn't last forever. It's not like the whole house is full of the smell and it stays, and it's 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 glimpses of it. Just like with the sight, it's just a glimpse. You just get it for just a second, and it's the same with the smell. Usually it's for me, it's about a second or two. Really, like it's enough to smell it, and then it's gone. So you could really easily second guess yourself, like, I didn't smell that. That wasn't real. I didn't really smell that. That must have been in my head. But really, when you smell things like that, pay attention. And again, it's very hard if you're in a public space or lots of people around. Um, even outside, it's harder to pick up on them because you don't know where smells it could be coming from outside. Um, you know, somebody's baking a cake, um, you know, a couple of houses down and the wind is, the air current is coming through. You may smell that. And, if you're smelling cake and you're like, what the hell's going on? And, it really could be somebody outside has got, baking cake and got their window open. So it is harder. Um, but I do recommend that you kind of pay attention and kind of like keep track of it. Um, like I'm not really good at that. I'm not good at writing things down, believe it or not. I don't like to journal. I don't like to write things down and stuff. But yeah, even if you have a calendar on your phone, maybe write it, type it in there. Was at blah 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 and smelled blah blah blah, um, and kind of keep track and see if there's any kind of pattern or anything like that. And again, the other thing is when you smell something, is to pay attention to who that reminds you of, because that is your intuition. That is coming up for you for a reason. And like I said, that first time I smelled that cut wood smell, I just instantly knew that it was my grandfather. And so kind of pay attention of the smells that you're getting, because we smell things all the time that remind us of people. But these smells are smells that are explainable smells. If somebody's cooking and you smell something that, my gram used to make that, and that reminds me of that. That's that's great, but that's not Clairscent. That's like a memory thing. There's all kinds of technical names for what how sense causes memories and sensations and things like that. Um, this is when there's no explanation for the smell. But if you smell it and it reminds you of someone, then pay attention to that, because that's probably who it is that's visiting you. I will tell you there are occasions that the smells are not always pleasant. um, and sometimes they're just weird. I was in bed one night, sound asleep, and it smelled like the whole house was full of like campfire smell, and the windows were closed. No, actually, I think that it was summertime and the window was open, but it was coming. It's hard to explain because our bedroom is that way, and all of our neighbors are that way. So for it to be that strong on that end of the house, I was like, that's really weird. And I'm like, there shouldn't be any, like the houses that are on that end of the are past us, are quite a ways past us. I mean, not really far, but you can see their houses, when the lights are on at night and stuff. But that's about it. Um, but anyway, um, I kept smelling campfire, and it kept coming, and then it would go, and then it would come, and it would go, and I'm like, what the hell? And it was enough for me to wake up my husband and say, I'm smelling this. I don't, because I was actually kind of afraid that someone was out in our woods having a fire. It was that strong smelling, and so I was like, I'm like looking to see if I can see, flames or light or anything through the woods. And I couldn't. So I literally woke up my husband and said, what is this? And he's like, I don't smell it. And I'm like, how can you not smell that? I'm like, the whole house smells like freaking campfire. He's like, I don't smell it. I'm like, okay. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, so I don't know. Then there's other nights I've woke him up because it smells like campfire, and he's like, yeah, I can smell it too. So then I'm not sure if we're both smelling it, or if really is somebody out there having a campfire that we're smelling. That would be really weird because like we don't live close to neighbors. But um, anyway, sometimes it's hard to figure out. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. And sometimes the answers come to you um, months later. And so um, sometimes when like that one smell that I just couldn't, I didn't know the smell like of the heavy tobacco smell, heavy cigarette smell. For whatever reason, that one really like it wasn't one of those ones where I'm like, I don't know what that was, and went on with my day. I was like, I just knew, and I can't tell you why I knew. I just knew that I needed to pay attention to this. I needed to figure this one out, and that's why I got my pendulum out and really worked at it to figure it out. But other ones, honestly, I do smell things and I'm just like, I don't know what that was. And I just go on with my day. I'm like, if it's important, they'll come back. Just, like the phone. When the phone rings, I'm like, I'm not answering it. If it's important, they'll call back. I kind of associate it the same way. I'm like, yeah, if it's really important, they'll come back. Let's see here. Some of the crystals, herbs, oils that you can work with. Crystals, I didn't pull them out because honestly, I don't have most of them. Um, one is in, indocylite, and I will have to look that up because I don't even really know what that is. But it is spelled INDICOLITE. Um, and the next one is aragonite, and then pitarosite, lapis lazuli. I have quite a few pieces of lapis. Um, I've moved my tray up here and I don't like it because I can't see it and grab things out of it. So that may have to find a new home. Um, and then there was one written down that said K2. I have never heard of K2. I do not know what K2 is. So my interest is piqued on that one as well to see what that is. Um, so I I thoroughly love the fact that me learning something makes me want to learn something else. Like every time I'm learning about something, there's something else in there that I want to go find out about. I want to know more about what this is. My phone alarm is going off. All right, so moving over to herbs and oils. And remember, you don't need to have all of the herbs, all of the oils. You can mix herbs and oils together. You can, obviously, you can make some incense. You can make a perfume, an anointing perfume. You can make a bath arrangements. We made a new moon bath salt a couple weeks ago. So you can make something like similar to that with these herbs instead of the herbs that we used in the video, or oils. Other things you can do if you don't want to even make the bath salt is you can literally fill up your bathtub, put a few of these oils in it, and if you got some herbs, you can just sprinkle the herbs in the bathtub and soak in the tub. So you can make it as easy or as complicated as you want. Um, some of the other things you could do is, like I said, you can do the incense, but and I'm going to suggest this, but use this with caution. And if you're not sure, don't do it. Find out first. Some of these herbs you can smoke. There are some that you can smoke, but there are some that you should not. So just be aware of that. If you want to smoke them, just do your research and certainly ask me. I know some of the ones that are safe, um, but I'm definitely no expert. I'm not an herbologist. Um, but like you can smoke buchu, you can smoke mugwort. There's quite a few of them that you can smoke. There's some of them that you can smoke that you really wouldn't want to. They're going to be pretty harsh. Then it's not going to be a pleasant experience. Um, like I said, the two that I know offhand is buchu leaves and mugwort. You can smoke, and it's going to give you that softened feeling, relaxed feeling. But be aware of there are certain ones you should not smoke, and there's certain ones you're not gonna want to smoke. It just won't be that pleasant. Um, you can also make teas. I don't like to smoke. It's not. I smoked for a long, long time when I was younger, um, and I've got out of smoking, so it's just not something I even want to do. Um, Obviously, when you're burning the incense, you're inhaling some of the smoke. That's the kind of the intention, the point of it. Um, but the other night, I made myself a nice cup of mugwort tea before bed, um, and kind of got that softened, relaxed feeling before I went to bed. So you can also put it in teas. But again, check your herbs because there are ones that you cannot ingest, um, and that will make you very sick. So always find out first. Um, you can check with me. Um, like I said, I know some of the ones that are safe, and I know a few of the ones that are not, but I am by no means an herbologist. Um, some of the herbs or oils that you may want to work with is catnip, cinnamon, dandelion leaf, calangal root, hibiscus, um, hyssop, juniper berries, and star anise. Now, I have my brother's girlfriend, which I might as well just say my sister-in-law. Um, she makes her own candles, and she made me a candle a while ago that had a nice, big, pretty star anise on the top, and it was so nice. I love the candle. I burned it right up. um, so you can work with them in all different ways. You know, be creative, and think of ways that best suits you. Um, I don't have a big bathtub. I wish I did, because if I did, I would be in there all the time with it full of oils and herbs. I'd look like a soup in there. Um, but yeah, figure out what works best for you. Like I said, I don't like to smoke, but I do know a lot of people who do smoke mugwort. Some people who smoke buchu leaf. Those are I think, two of the more common ones. Um, but again, I'm not an herbologist, so I can't really tell you that. Um, Obviously, the most smoked herb would be marijuana, but I'm not telling you to go smoke that. If you want to, go for it. If it's legal where you are, go for it. But I don't know the effects of that compared to heightening your psychic abilities. I don't know how that compares up. So before I finish up here, I did want to show you yesterday. I did a new moon video, and as usual, I talked longer than I probably should have, and didn't leave myself quite enough time to do the craft. So I kind of like just placed things around and said, this is what it's gonna look like. This is what I'm gonna do. And so last night I did sit down after supper and go ahead, and I worked on the knife for a little while. I'm not quite sure I'm finished with it, but so what I did here was we had wrapped the handle with the I just don't know how well you can see that. We wrapped the handle with a suede lace here, and then I tied the knot up here, and I tied two little silver, I don't know if I can get it to show, right here. I don't think you can see it. My camera's not good enough, and I am so sorry. I used two little like jewelry silver hooks, silver circles. I don't know if you can see that. So I tied two of them in there. And then what I did is those loops I used to fasten other things. So like this loop here, I fastened a string, and I've got some black tourmaline. I put 3 black tourmaline beads here. And then on the other end of the string, I just put some blue and black and silver beads that I had from a necklace that I loved that got broken. The strap on it broke, the string on it broke, and I saved those beads, and so I'm like, I'm gonna put those on. And then On this one, I've got a couple little beads, and then there's a little a little key charm there. Yeah, my camera sucks. My husband keeps telling me it's not the camera, it's the internet. I tied on a sari ribbon, and then I took some more of the suede lace with a couple of wooden beads and glued on some feathers. So it's kind of hard to see the whole thing. I took the black little rock that I showed you guys, and I painted on a rune symbol, and then I glued that on, and then I glued two quartz pieces there. So I'm not quite sure it's done. I feel like it still needs something else, but I'm not quite sure what yet. Somebody suggested that I cleanse it, smudge it really well, and maybe that's all it needs, but I do think it needs something else. I just don't know what it is yet. So I have to trust again that it will present itself when it's time. The other thing is I did get the back and the front painted up the black, and I put the little symbols that I told you guys. So there's the circle for the moon, and then the triangle for the water. And I'm thinking, this is still a teeny bit tacky. I'm thinking I'm going to take this and hot glue gun and do this little top piece here. I don't know if you can see it, how there's like a piece here. I'm going to see if I can wrap that around it and put that there. And I was thinking I might possibly put a couple of chipstones or something on there as well. But it's still a little tacky, so I'm going to put it back down. Because I put a layer on it, and then I put another layer on it when it really wasn't quite dry, but I wanted to go to bed. So I'm going to put this on there somehow. And yeah, and then like I said, I'm not sure I'm done yet. I think it needs some other little thing yet, but I'm not quite sure. But the purpose of these little circle clasp things that I put on there is just for that purpose. So I could add things, or if I decided in a year or two that I don't like this, or the string breaks or whatever, it's very easy to use those two little silver loops to unfasten or fasten things on there. So I can change it if I want over time. So I have a feeling it's going to be a piece that I might add to as I go. Like over the years, it may get added to. So it may not actually be finished for many years. So yeah, I just wanted to share that I did finish that up. As far as what I told you I was going to do with it. And so with that, I am off to work. It's Thursday. It's almost Friday. I will see you guys on Monday morning for our weekly forecast. I hope you have a good rest of your week. Nice weekend. Take some time to do some self-care. That's always important. And I will see you guys Monday. Thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.